Hi guys, welcome to another spooky October episode of Streaming Safari. Of course, as always, I would spookily like to thank you. Okay, I gotta stop with this. Sorry. I would like to thank you for any donations you've been able to make, or if you've been able to come out to visit us or help us out on Amazon Smile. All those links are right down below. So if you can do any of that for us, it's super, super amazing. We are a nonprofit, so any of that you do for us, even just coming out to visit and seeing our amazing animals, does go right back to taking care of them. So we really appreciate it. Today, we're going to be talking about some jack-o'-lanterns and trying to preserve them. So here in Nevada, if you're watching us from the local area, it gets very, very dry here, and your jack-o'-lanterns tend to go bad really fast. I find that. Do you find that, Denise?
I don't do the carving very often, so I don't know.
We're gonna have to teach her how to carve some pumpkins here, guys. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna try 4 different methods that are recommended for preserving pumpkins. And maybe you're missing our arm. Hello. Okay. So I have some carved jack-o'-lanterns here that myself and some of our other keepers have created for you from some tiny mini pumpkins. And we're going to carve one together. And I'm going to give you some tips about carving your pumpkins. What you might notice is that some of our pumpkins have some marker left over on them. And the one that I'm going to draw for you right now, I'm just going to draw a standard jack-o'-lantern on this guy. And this is a really good way to just get everything exactly where you want it. Okay? Let's do some regular teeth on this guy. Something I can cut out real quick for us. And then they sell these really cool pumpkin carving kits, which I love.
Don't forget to have an adult with you if you're using sharp objects.
Have an adult with you if you are using your pumpkin carving tool. So all of these I've hollowed out, right? So cut the top. I recommend when you cut the top of a pumpkin to cut it at an angle. If you cut it straight down, when you put this back on top, it's going to go whoop right through the pumpkin. So cut it at an angle so that when you set the top on it, it doesn't go through the pumpkin. Okay. And then you or your adult can carve out your pumpkin. I'm going to try this bigger one. Now, the question is, the marker makes it really easy for us to see where we want to carve. But we don't want all that marker left over on here. So how do you think we're going to get rid of that?
I mean, I probably have the answer.
What's the answer?
Alcohol.
Alcohol. Alcohol is going to be something that's really easily going to break the bond, as we've talked about, chemical bonds here. We love to talk about chemical bonds at Streaming Safari, right, Denise?
We do.
And so do the lions.
They do. I think that's Gino.
Gino's talking to us. Gino likes pumpkins. All right.
He does, actually.
Pumpkin later. Yes. Oh, I haven't mentioned Boo at the Zoo. Boo at the Zoo is coming up the weekend of Halloween. It'll be 3 days, the 29th through the 31st. And our lions will be receiving pumpkin enrichment. And there'll be lots of other fun stuff, a scavenger hunt and all kinds of other cool things.
And it's rubbing alcohol, guys. Rubbing alcohol.
We've got rubbing alcohol. And we're going to take our rubbing alcohol, put a little bit on a paper towel. You don't need that much. And what this is going to do is act as a solvent for the ink. And a solvent is going to turn the little particles of ink back into kind of a liquidy form, so it kind of breaks down and comes along with the water that's in the alcohol solution. Okay, and so it rubs all of the alcohol right off of all of the ink right off of our pumpkins, so that they look like, oh, we just did that freehand, right? We just freehanded.
And for anyone who has a dry erase board at home, if you accidentally get permanent marker on your dry erase board, you can use the same thing to get that off. Just a little bit of rubbing alcohol.
A little bit of rubbing alcohol on your dry erase board will take off any ink that you have on there from a Sharpie. Alrighty. So I'll carve the rest of this pumpkin in a second. I'm going to use this one as not something we're going to test. I actually wanted to ask you that question. If I'm going to test 4 different things, why do I have 5 pumpkins, Denise?
I don't know. I thought there was a method to the madness. I didn't ask questions.
When you're doing an experiment, a lot of the time you want to try to have a control. And so this pumpkin that I'm going to carve right when we're done here is going to be our control. In other words, I'm not going to do anything to this pumpkin. This pumpkin's going to be what we're going to compare all the other pumpkins to. So this is going to have nothing done to it except it's just going to get carved out. And then these ones we're going to treat. Okay. So there's a lot of different methods. Oh my goodness. My hair is getting all on my face, guys. I'm so sorry. There's a lot of different methods that you can find online to how to preserve a pumpkin. And there were a couple ones I wanted to test. The first 2 that I'm going to talk about, I am testing for a very specific reason. 2 of the most common things that you'll find are bleach and vinegar as suggested ways to treat your pumpkin. Now, it's said that the vinegar acts just as good as the bleach. And this is something really important if you're going to be leaving your jack-o'-lantern out on the porch. Bleach solution can be really dangerous to animals that are around your house. So if you live somewhere like California, where there are a lot of like possums and raccoons and things that might come by and try to nibble on your pumpkin a little bit, if you're treating your pumpkin with bleach, it might not be a good thing. So we'll see.
I was going to say, in Alaska, when I lived up there, moose used to eat our pumpkins.
Yeah, and that's not going to be very good for the moose to be eating a bleach solution. So it's recommended to instead use vinegar, which is much safer for those animals. So we're going to see if they actually work the same. We don't have too many of those little creatures running around here in the area, and I'm also going to put these pumpkins in a safe place that none of them can get to. So when I'm using the bleach, I'll be really careful about that. But that's something you want to consider when you're ever putting something outside. Is it going to hurt the animals that also live in your neighborhood? Okay. So I have these in some spray bottles because I'm going to treat them throughout the week, and then we'll look at them again next week. So this little guy we'll try the bleach solution with. And so what I'm going to do is I'm wearing gloves just to be cautious because we are dealing with some chemicals here. And this I've labeled here, right? It says bleach and water. Now, I wanted to give you a little chemistry tip, guys, because a lot of the time that Denise is shaking her head. A lot of the time when we think about using things like bleach or things like vinegar, we think about like, oh, you can always smell it, so maybe I don't have to label my bottle, but that can be really dangerous if you inhale something. So the way that chemists do it, if you ever think about inhaling something like a candle or something like that, or something you don't know what's in the water, hold it away from you and move the air across it. And you can smell what it is from far away, so it won't bring the fumes to you and make you sick. Because if you stick your face in a bunch of bleach, you might pass out. Don't do that, okay? So anytime that you're smelling something to see what it is or what it smells like, you always want to do what's called wafting it. So you want to get the airflow across it and then bring the air toward you so you can smell it just a little bit, and so you're always safe. So we're going to pour some of this bleach water into a little container here, and we're going to soak our little pumpkin in this bleach. So I'm going to roll him around in here a little bit, get him nice and covered in the bleach, and then we'll make sure he gets some time to dry out. I'll put this little hat in there too. All right. Set him aside. All right, and then we're going to do the same thing with the vinegar. Now, throughout the week, what I'm going to do to try to help preserve these guys is each of these methods I'm going to have in a little spray bottle, and I'm going to spray them every day. Okay, so I'll spray them down. I won't soak them again, but I'll spray them down. We'll try the vinegar next. And these are all, I've made 10 to 1 solution, or 1 to 10 solutions of each of these.
1 to 10, Alex, what is that?
So there is 1 part of bleach or vinegar or whatever I'm using to 10 parts of water. So the same amount of bleach times 10 equals how much water I used. And then I'll make sure I remember which of these guys, we have it on video, so I can go back and see if I forget which of these guys is which, and treat them with the same thing each time.
I could smell the vinegar from here.
Yeah. All right. And then one of the next things we have to try out is something called Borax. Your parents might have used this. You might absolutely not know what this is. It's a special kind of cleaner. You can use it on all kinds of different things. Usually people use it in their laundry. And it's just a white powder. You can get this at pretty much any store. I think I got this at Albertsons. And it's just a white powder. And you can, again, mix it with some water.
Your pumpkins are very festive.
Yes, they are. This is the one I want to do the next thing on. All right. This guy has some carrot ears, so I'm actually going to take his ears out because I assume that they're going to go bad a lot faster than he is.
Is that the one Keeper Robert did?
Yes, of course. He did that one and that one. And then Caitlin did this one. I did the spooky one. Alright, make sure I get this guy really soaked. And then the last one, we're going to use hairspray.
Interesting. Why hairspray?
So the hairspray supposedly is going to help to coat the entire inside of the pumpkin so that that coating doesn't allow there to be any growth of any mold. So all of these three different things hopefully will help kill the mold. Like bleach generally we use to clean things, and all these other things, vinegar, and the borax we're using to clean stuff. So hopefully what that'll do is it'll actually start killing the fungus that starts to build up, but the hairspray hopefully will actually block any of the growth of that. Yeah.
We have a comment that, of course, Keeper Robert's pumpkin would be scary.
Mine's the scary one. Okay, Robert's are kind of scary too. I gotta put his horns back in. Okay, I guess he's extra scary with the horns. Who was that? Was that Caitlin?
It was Tati.
Oh, Tati. Hi, Tati.
And then how can you find out if your hairspray is non-toxic or not?
Do you know the answer to that?
Well, I was going to say usually on the bottles for most things, because like when we do anything for the giraffe and paint and stuff, because a lot of times they'll say like keep out of reach of children, or it'll be like non-toxic. So if you're looking for an animal safe option, definitely review the chemicals, the labels. A lot of the things that you have in your home, believe it or not, have a safety data sheet that will tell you the different chemical makeups of everything and the different information on that product.
She is right. It does say keep out of reach of children on this, or giraffes. It does say keep out of reach of giraffes, lions, and birds. So we're going to be cautious with this one too. No, it doesn't. Just says children. And again, I'm going to keep these in a nice, safe place so none of our animals get to them or anything. But yes, that is very good.
When you talked about the animals, so I wanted to bring it up.
That was very good. A very good catch that I didn't even think of. So I'm just going to coat this whole thing in hairspray. Just get wild. I got a really cheap hairspray for this if you don't want to use your probably super expensive hairspray. All right, and we're going to hope that seals him up.
And then was the borax safe, animal safe, or is it just the vinegar?
The borax should be animal safe diluted. So as long as you're diluting it, so again, it is a cleaner, so it probably says something similar on here, but once you dilute it, it shouldn't be too bad. This one also has a keep out of reach of children.
So the vinegar is animal safe.
Safest bet. And that's why I really wanted to try the vinegar. The borax and the hairspray are probably my next two safe recommendations. The bleach is going to be the one that I'm really not going to recommend.
For animals.
For animal safety.
Mm-hmm. If you don't have animals and it's going to go in your house, should be good.
It's going to go in your house, treat it with whatever you'd like. Or if you have a nice safe place to keep it, if you're going to bring your pumpkin outside at certain times during the day. You're only going to leave it out when you're kind of hanging around and animals don't come around your porch, then you might be okay. But again, the bleach I just don't recommend. We'll see how well it works compared to everything else, and hopefully at least the vinegar, if not one of our other methods, is a little better than the bleach and gives us a more animal safe option, because that's what we're looking for here. Alrighty, so all of our pumpkins are prepared. Obviously I can't give you any results right now, guys. I'm really sorry.
It's okay. We did a 2-parter for our Egg Spectacular last year.
But next week we'll take a look at our jack-o'-lanterns again. And I'm just going to do what I normally do with a jack-o'-lantern. I'll leave them out kind of over by the gift shop, and we'll just see how long they last. I've got my little control pumpkin that I'll finish carving out right now, so that we don't get any different timing on these guys. And we'll see which ones last the best.
And then don't we have one other activity coming up next weekend? Yoga.
Oh, yeah. I feel like yoga should be spooky themed, and it's not.
It is not.
But if you're interested in regular non-spooky yoga, which is just as good, right? Please come out and join us for our yoga event. It's next week on Saturday and Sunday, the 23rd and 24th. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So we'll have yoga next week, and that starts at 2:30. So we're open to the public as usual, Thursday through Monday, from 10 to 2, and then at 2:30 we'll be starting the yoga event next Saturday and Sunday, and then the following week is Boo at the Zoo, regular time when we're open to the public, 10.
Oh, no, we moved to 11 to 3.
Boo at the Zoo will actually be 11 to 3, because we do change our hours the following week. So hopefully that made sense. Did that make sense? So next week, yoga. We're open to the public from 10 to 2. Yoga starts at 2:30. You do need to go online to purchase tickets for that.
A yoga has to be purchased in advance.
And then the following week is Boo at the Zoo, and we change our hours to 11 to 3. And Boo at the Zoo will be regular hours, 11 to 3. Thanks, guys. We'll check out our pumpkins next week. Thanks for tuning in, and have a great day. Come see us.